Hi friends, it's Maria. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here and you just found me. This is my music channel. I usually don't talk in this channel. I just come here and sing, but I've been trying to sort of communicate more with you and start sort of sharing more about myself and doing things a little bit differently. But yes, today I wanted to talk to you about my new song Scarecrow. It should be available everywhere right now, even here on YouTube for free. And yeah, I want to talk about what inspired me to write this and when I wrote it, what the song is actually about. I was recently asked on Tumblr if Scarecrow was inspired on The Wizard of Oz because I didn't realize it originally, but it does have a resemblance with Dorothy meeting the Scarecrow in her path, like on the yellow brick road, and she asks him for directions. So yeah, I didn't when I wrote this, it was 2009, and while I was aware of The Wizard of Oz, I don't think I'd ever watched it, and I had certainly never watched Wicked or listened to it yet. I did watch Wicked, a bootleg version, on 2020, and that was like my first time. So back then I wasn't even aware of Wicked. But yes, it does. It's kind of like a coincidence that there's a resemblance there, and I think that's interesting. If you want to interpret it that way or like think about it in that way, then you're totally free to do so, obviously, because songs, even like I can sit here and talk to you about what made me write it and what it's actually about. But at the end of the day, like everyone has their own interpretations and feelings when it comes to songs, movies, whatever media it is. And I think that's the best thing ever. But yes, what actually inspired me to write this was that at the time, my older sister was starting to collect fall decorations, and she had these little scarecrow kids, and I'm pretty sure we were sitting at my grandmother's dinner table, and she had those which she had bought earlier that day, and they were at the table, and I think I might have been looking at them and thinking up some lyrics, some song, because that's how I've always sort of dealt with my emotions ever since I was a child. So I was going through something. I had dropped out of university. I had a long, long messy history with university, and back then it was just starting because I was 19 years old, and I was wondering about my place in the world and what I should do exactly. I was also grieving the fact that I had left a program that I really liked. It was a music program. It's just that I had realized that it wasn't right for me. And I was really disappointed about everything, about how my university experience had gone up until that point, because I graduated in 2006. And by 2009, I graduated high school in 2006. And my experience that far at university had been so disappointing. It was heartbreaking because I had these expectations for my life that weren't being met. I had these dreams. I feel that when you're a child, when you're a teenager, there are so many things that you're dreaming about. Like you have this full-on hope and expectation that your life is going to be something amazing, that you're gonna amount to really big things, and you have this skewed definition of success, in which success means not being famous per se, but being huge, like having the best of absolutely everything and like achieving everything at the top, having, at least for me it was that. I feel that I had this dream that I was gonna be performing on stage, that I was gonna be playing violin, for example, with an orchestra, even though I had very little. I'm self-taught violinist, and I'm gonna link somewhere some of my violin practice videos. I haven't actually recorded a full video playing violin, which I should do for this channel. So yes, I was self-taught violinist, and guitar and piano, everything I do is self-taught. So I wasn't aware that university was a whole different game when it comes to music and the arts. I wasn't aware that you had to have so much knowledge already, like you have to be good to be there. And I did make it to university, obviously, but I I just didn't know exactly what my path was going to be once I was there, because I thought, I'm here, but is this really gonna help me do what I wanna achieve for real? And I had realized about around that time that it was not going to get me to where I wanted to be, which was creating my own music and putting it out there, which is sort of what I'm doing now at 34 years old. That 19-year-old girl who was lost and disappointed and heartbroken that her dreams weren't coming true. That 19-year-old would be really, mind blown to see that I have a channel now and that I'm creating my own music and I'm putting it out there by myself. That was the dream back then. But it looked so dark and so hard around that time. I really didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was waking up to the realities of the world. I was always a child that lived in La La Land. I like to say that because even though my parents weren't like super wealthy, I feel like I had everything I wanted growing up. And being thrust in the real world in which I have to count on myself to achieve things, and I have to be aware that things are never going to be handed out to me. I'm not in that 0.01% of people who will just have things handed out to them. And I was just waking up to that reality, and I was lost. I didn't know which path to take, and that's why I started. That's how I've always coped with my emotions ever since I was a child. I will write something, and usually it's a song or a poem, and I just started writing that. It might have been a poem originally, just like the song Stress, my other song that I've released so far. But I gave it a melody immediately. It was actually lower as well. I feel like whenever I write a song, it is in lower pitch, and then I make it higher when I record, like when I'm starting to put it together with the music and everything, because it's much easier for me to sing higher than it is to sing lower. But for some reason, whenever I write a song, it is definitely lower. It is definitely a lower register. And the chorus was also different because I would not mention a raven. It was, "Oh, bird in that tree, tell me what you see, where to find my tree." And it wasn't Scarecrow there, if you don't mind. It was Scarecrow in my backyard. Please tell me where to find my path. Tell me the reason why I left it all behind. 'Cause you seem to be standing there so strong, standing tall over the storm, over and over, over and over. And I don't know if I used to sing this part of years have come and gone, and you're still watching over everything. But the raven part was indeed, "Oh, bird in that tree, tell me what you see, where to find my tree." And yes, I changed it because I felt like that wasn't, those lyrics weren't solid enough. My first language is Spanish, and when I wrote this, I knew even less English than I do now. I feel like I'm pretty bilingual by now, but back then I wasn't. And I was writing in English because, I don't know, I've always had this thing where I get inspired to create in English. I was writing in Spanish, but it's much less common when I'm writing music. I don't know why. I started writing that, looking at the scarecrow that my sister had there, and feeling those feelings of being lost in my path, not knowing what path to actually pursue. And I feel like I'm just untangling all that now in my 30s. Then, my 20s was this period in which I was just figuring things out about myself, sort of realizing that I can only count on myself when it comes to my music and my arts. Also, like, realizing that I'm blessed to live in this time in which we have YouTube and we can just create and put it out there, and it will find its audience eventually. That's my knowledge. Like, I know that in my heart. Even though right now it's taking years for me to get to the hundreds of subscribers, and it is pretty tough, but it is not impossible, and we're blessed to live in these times. Even if we're not, in that 1% of people who have things given to them, basically, when it comes to the arts. We can put ourselves out there and create, and that is just such a blessing. So yes, this is it for this video. I hope you liked that little ramble that I just went on. Or at least you found it interesting. Basically, Scarecrow is a very special song to me because it was just me putting out those feelings of being lost and trying to figure out why I left this music program behind that I really thought was gonna get me what I wanted. And it didn't. I realized it never would. It wasn't designed for that. Still have to figure things out by myself. Oh my goodness, I'm sneezing. I have bad allergies these days. December in Puerto Rico. It's kind of cool today. It's getting dark. I don't know how dark this video is gonna turn out. Hopefully not so much. But yes, this is it for this video. That was Scarecrow, the too long didn't read version of this, because I did go on a ramble. Scarecrow was born out of this feeling of being lost and not knowing what path to take now that I'd realized that this music program that I loved was not gonna take me to where I wanted to be. It wasn't designed for it. I realized once I graduate, I'm just gonna be in debt and still in the same place. Though now at least I would have more knowledge of music theory, I guess. So if you're gonna study something at university, for me, if I was gonna study something at university, it had to be something that I could get back on my investment, my family's investment. And music was just not it when I could just create like I'm doing now. Back then I didn't know I was gonna have these opportunities that I have today. So it was really depressing to let it go because I didn't know how I was gonna get to this that I'm doing today, which is creating music and putting it out there. And I'm not perfect. Like, I have a long way to go, but I'm doing something that back then, like, it would have blown my mind if you told me one day you're gonna have a small studio space and you're gonna have a keyboard that belongs to you, and like you're gonna have a microphone, you're gonna have GarageBand, you're gonna have all these things. It would have blown my mind because I just didn't know anything about this back then, and it was just such a devastating feeling of being lost. And that's why I'm asking the Scarecrow, like, why did I leave that behind? You know, where do I go now? Because I simply don't know. So that was it for this video. I hope you liked it and you like spending this time with me. I'm recording on my phone. Hopefully I was making eye contact here and there. I never know where to look, and I have to figure that out already because this is not the first video I filmed with my phone. So yes, I hope you like that, and I will see you soon with more music, more covers, more original music. Talking about this whole thing about creating music, I have a separate channel. I'm gonna put it up there somewhere. It is called Daughter of Light. That's the project. Originally it was gonna be called Etheria, but there were already other artists called Etheria, so I decided I'm just gonna be Daughter of Light, which is based on a novel that I wrote many years ago. I still haven't self-published that. Also gonna link my writer channel somewhere. I do all the things. Daughter of Light is inspired on that book, and it's my instrumental new age sort of fantasy music project. If you want to check that out, I already have a song out, a piece out. It's called Finding the Secret Garden. And I'm gonna link it somewhere as well and probably put a snippet here at the end of the video. And yes, I hope you like that, especially if you like fantasy music, sort of whimsical music and classical music sort of vibe. I invite you to check out Daughter of Light and Finding the Secret Garden, which was already released everywhere. And yes, thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
You seem to be standing there so strong, standing tall over this door, over and over, over and over. Years have come and gone, and you're